I give the floor to the distinguished representative of Armenia.
Thank you, Mr. President. The role of mediation is essential to the prevention and peaceful resolution of conflicts, and is clearly recognized in the Charter of the United Nations, whose Article 33 explicitly calls on parties to a dispute to resort to mediation. Mediation could and should play a critical role at all stages of conflicts and disputes. Having said that, the resolution under consideration should be based on clearly articulated consensus by all states. Such a consensus is central to securing credibility and integrity of this resolution. Armenia deeply regrets to have observed that persistency of uncompromising position on selective references to the principles of international law and the Charter of the United Nations, reflected in two specific preambular paragraphs of the resolution. To reflect on the arguments of the delegations concerning application of some agreed language, Armenia notes that the United Nations Charter represents the ultimate agreed language. The purposes and principles of the Charter cannot be distorted, limited, or conditioned. It is evident that credible and effective mediation aims at peaceful settlement of disputes, conflict prevention and resolution in a way that is based on the United Nations Charter and international law. The Charter underlines in Article 1 that the purposes of the organization is to develop friendly relations among nations based on respect for the principle of equal rights and self-determination of peoples, and to take other appropriate measures to strengthen universal peace. Over the decades following the adoption of the Charter, understanding of the substantive legal principles of self-determination has evolved into its recognition as a fundamental right. The present draft resolution aims at further strengthening the mediation dimension of the United Nations and regional organization. As such, we believe that it should consolidate the purposes of the Charter and the principles of international law and ensure their balanced and inclusive reflection in the text. We cannot agree to the limitation imposed on self-determination of peoples, and a narrow reference in the 7th preambular paragraph can in no way prejudice the right to self-determination, freedom and independence of all peoples as derived from the Charter of United Nations, the two international covenants on human rights and numerous relevant UN resolutions, among other instruments especially given to the subject matter of the resolution. Mr. President, we are convinced that the request of a delegation to duly reflect the UN Charter language is a legitimate right which must be heard, respected, and addressed. I regret that the current draft resolution, L65, lacks the minimum degree of agreement. Therefore, Armenia disassociates himself from the consensus. We would like to request that this statement be included in the official records of the session. I thank you, Mr. President.